We're waiting.
Welcome into the rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400 around the world in the iHeartRadio app. My name is Rob Sanders. Thanks for joining me today. Big show planned as always. Phone lines are open, 803-978-1832 if you want to call and, join the program. That's what people do. As we move around here on a Tuesday, getting closer and closer to the holiday breaks. Holiday break, Rob. All right, so we got some stuff to get into today. The Florida basketball team looked like the Florida football team last night. We'll get into that. Florida's had some mess happen to them lately. It's insane. In addition to that, we'll look at some of the SEC games for the bowl season. ACC bowl games we'll look at tomorrow. But we're going to start with the coaching carousel. And there is one new opening, of course, with Oregon in the mix now with as they're already giving me grief online about the Florida stuff. But no, Oregon needs a new coach. Now, why does this affect you here in Columbia, South Carolina? It's simple. They're going to hire someone, and there's going to be an opening somewhere else. And then that opening is going to take someone else out of there. I mean, it's a ripple effect. But there are early odds out on who's going to take over at Oregon. One of them is Chip Kelly. He's the leader, followed by the coach from BYU, Justin Wilcox from California. And here's where it gets interesting. Brian Harsin from Auburn. Yeah. Now, how does that roll out? Are the Auburn fans happy with the campaign they had this season? They've lost 4 straight heading into the Birmingham Bowl against Houston. They did take Alabama to the wire. So there's that. He's had success at Arkansas State and Boise State before his time in the SEC, and he's never had a losing season unless he loses to the folks from Houston. But if he leaves, that leaves an SEC job opening. And I wonder who may go there. It may end up being someone from the Georgia coaching staff. Maybe the defensive coordinator will decide, hey, I want to go test myself as a head coach. How does that affect the national championship with the college football playoffs? If all of this comes out in the next couple of days and Georgia has their defensive coordinator and it's pretty much known that he's gone, even if he coaches in the playoff, that might affect the college football playoff. There you go with that. Maybe a coach from Clemson or South Carolina ends up going to be on the staff of one of those if Auburn opens up. It's a mess. Jet Mech Online says Will Muschamp will be your new head coach at Auburn. How many chances does a guy get? Have a chance to be a 4-time loser in the SEC. Well, actually 3-time. He hasn't screwed the Georgia program yet. Anyway, 803-978-1832. I have not heard about any opt-outs for South Carolina or Clemson. I do think that Booth, the Clemson defensive back, is probably not going to play in the Cheez-It Bowl. It's just a guess. He's projected to be a first-round pick in the NFL draft. I don't see him playing in the Cheez-It Bowl. I really don't. So there's that. Some Jet also says online, apparently Dabo Swinney is distraught about NIL and the future of college football. What if he retires? I don't think Dabo Swinney's the quitting type. He's 50, so he's still got plenty of time to coach. I don't think it's going to be an issue of, hey, I want to stop coaching now. I don't think that's happening. Anyway, the list of opt-outs are going to start to happen. And here's where it gets interesting. Everybody gets to leave campus here in the next week or so, or they get into bowl workouts. If it comes down to it, there's going to be a set of players that are going to get advice from family or their uncle or what have you. Man, you don't need to go play there anymore. It's going to happen. Guy may not end up getting drafted until the 5th round, but they're going to get told by someone you shouldn't go and use that opportunity to get some more tape on you in a bowl game. Yeah, you don't need that. I'm of the opinion that you should play out your year unless you're injured. But on the other hand, if you know for sure you're going to be a first-round pick, then I can kind of get it. But it's definitely a gray area, one way or another. Hudson Online says, go Wolfpack, man. You know, I kind of feel bad for the NC State folks. They had their best season ever. And what do you get for a bowl game? You get to go across the country. You know, they get to go across the country to play UCLA. Kind of sucks for the NC State folks. They kind of got screwed on their bowl destination, in my opinion. 803-978-1832. Jackie loves the Tar Heels online. Okay. They get a bus trip to Charlotte. Not that far for them. Are you excited about that South Carolina matchup, though? And for the Gamecocks, it's an opportunity to go out and have a winning season for Shane Beamer in his first year. And to beat a coach that's got a national championship. You don't get that every year. So there's that. I mean, that's kind of what South Carolina's playing for, and respect. You know, the idea of the whole, this is the real Carolina thing. That's important to a lot of folks. Anyway, we're taking your calls at 803-978-1832. Chris says he doesn't like the UNC matchup for the Gamecocks. Courtney says, yes, it's a good matchup that South Carolina needs. Let's take this in perspective, though. South Carolina is getting a team that people thought in the regular season was going to go to the ACC championship game. And that didn't happen. Sam Howell was a guy that was thought to be a preseason Heisman contender, and that didn't happen. He ended up being basically an average quarterback. And if you look at North Carolina's schedule, they had some decent games, but in the end, they ended up looking flat. Lost to Virginia Tech to start the season. Got blown out by Georgia Tech. Lost by 10 to Florida State. Lost by 10 to Notre Dame. By 7 to Pitt in overtime. And lost to NC State by 4. So I guess their biggest win on the season would be, they did beat Wake Forest. So there you go with that. But this is a North Carolina team that has underachieved. There was literally talk at the beginning of the season that they were going to be the team that would unseat Clemson in Charlotte. And that didn't happen. Shout out to Jared watching online. How are you, sir? 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. Let's also talk about the coaches that have moved on. Who do you think has the opportunity to make the biggest splash? Is it going to be Mario Cristobal down at from Oregon to Miami? And this guy's getting a ton of money. Not that that matters to you as a fan, but he gets money as far as assistance. He's got the proud Miami fans behind him. Is it going to be Brent Venables? They lost a big-time recruit yesterday at Oklahoma. Is he going to be able to basically saddle up and keep going what Lincoln Riley has done, where they kind of lead the Big 12? Is it going to be Brian Kelly down at LSU? We can mock his accent, where he gets a little bit deeper in that accent. There's my fake Brian Kelly accent. Is it going to be one of those three? Is it going to be the new head coach at Virginia Tech, who's got an opportunity to make a bigger splash in their first season? And when I say bigger splash, I mean have the kind of marking that Mac Brown had at North Carolina. Larry Fedora had kind of run them into the ground. And then all of a sudden, Mac Brown comes in, and they look like a good football team. Courtney with a couple of comments. Brian Kelly and Mario Cristobal, but he'll throw in Venables. So in that order. Okay. You know, I think Brian Kelly's in the biggest spot where he has the best potential to have the better team, but he's playing in the toughest division in college football. So there's that. In your first season, you're going to have to go up against Nick Saban, and you're going to have to go up against I got to look at the rest of LSU's schedule. But definitely that SEC West schedule is a heck of a lot harder than any schedule that Notre Dame played in the up there in South Bend. So he has that going against him, but I think that he's got some talent down there at LSU. I think he's going to save the recruiting class, and we'll know here in 8 days on National Signing Day. We'll know that. If he gets that LSU class and keeps them in the top 10, and he's only been on the ground 3 weeks, stand by. You still have to develop that talent, and he's been able to do that at Notre Dame. But if he's able to keep that talent together, he may be the guy. I think with Brent Venables, it's going to be an issue of he's completely different than Lincoln Riley, I believe. Not that they both can't be winners, but that I think he's different in the way that he does things. And it may take a little bit longer for Venables to get the system and everything he wants in there at Oklahoma. Courtney says LSU is going to be a problem. She might be right. As far as Cristobal, if Miami wins 8 games next season, 9 games, it's going to look like, wow, we made a great move. Then they're going to want to build on top of that and then build on top of that. So can he go down there and figure out which way he's going to move with his system and then go from there? Jet Online says LSU got Frank Wilson on staff. Big hit on recruiting with Louisiana. Yeah. A lot of that's got to come down to who these folks get on their staff too. And it's the same thing with Dabo Swinney up at Clemson. Who is he going to get to come in as his defensive coordinator? You could lean on that Clemson defense every year. They're going to keep you in most games. Now, there are some Clemson fans that are salty, and they'll tell you in the college football playoff, like the last 3 appearances, Brent Venables' defense got just shattered. And some folks were like, hey, you did a good job for us, coach, but maybe it's time for a new look. I'm not completely buying that, but that's definitely a different perspective and a way to look at it. But the other thing you got to think about, too, is Swinney going to promote from within, or is he going to go out and about and try to get someone else? I think he has the flexibility. He can do that. We shall see which way he goes. Courtney also says with Venables gone, Clemson isn't going to be the same anymore. And you can make that argument too. You could also make the argument that the show goes on. Clemson recruiting class still in the top 10. So there's still going to be talent up there. On defense, they're going to have Brian Brzee back, who was first-team All-American at the preseason before he injured himself in the North Carolina State game. That guy's going to be a first-team All-American, I think, probably next season. I mean, he's that disruptive of a player. They also got some guys at linebacker. The defense should be fine if they're put into the right positions, but we'll see. Losing Booth to the NFL is going to be a big deal. They do have the freshman whose name I've got on the tip of my tongue, but I can't remember who it is. McQuabe, I believe, is his last name. That was like an all-American, freshman All-American. He'll get plenty of time. So I think the Clemson defense has the opportunity to be pretty good next season, but we'll see. On the offensive side of the ball, there is definitely some things that they've got to do. They've got to figure out what caused DJ Uiagalelei to regress from where he was. Lining up and just running the ball down people's throat is great, but if you don't have that other dimension where you can throw the ball, it's not going to work out well for you. Not going to look out well for you. What are they going to do on the offensive line? There's talk around the internet that Coach Caldwell's going to retire, getting someone else in there. We'll see. Daniel online says the offensive line has to be fixed at Clemson. I agree with you. I really do. James says all good defenses get burnt sometimes. Look at UGA, the best D of all time, got lit up. Yeah, they got lit up by a great team. A great team. Courtney says he regressed because teams have had a lot of video on him. I mean, I can buy that, but I can also buy that he was only reading half the field. If you watch those games, he's literally reading the first half of the field, first one side of the field, not the other. Not really transitioning from what I could see. I'm going to get Coach Eric Wilson on with us, who is a guy that actually watches film and gets paid for it, to tell us about what he sees with Uiagalelei. And can he be fixed? Because he was basically in the wins that Clemson got at the end of the season, Wake Forest and South Carolina. He didn't throw for 100 yards against South Carolina. That's not going to win you a lot of games down the road. Quick break. When we return, we'll have more for you. This is the rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400. I did see that, Jet. That's insane. The three cheerleaders up front, it looked like, wow. They're all standing there watching him like, ooh. Yeah, I've heard good things about Frank there, Edwin. Good stuff, sir. I may post that press conference later on the blog page. It is cringy. That's the best term I can use. With the band and the cheerleader, it's like, what? Lincoln Riley's looking around like, the hell's going on here? Bitcoin, huh? Yeah. I got some Bitcoin. All good staff loses coaches. Sorry to hurt your feelings there, Caden. That's just the way that it is. (803) 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. That is the number to call if you'd like to join us here on the Rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400. Of course, around the world on the iHeartRadio app. Some other names that are in the coaching carousel include for Oregon include Brian Harston at Auburn, Chris Peterson from Washington, Matt Campbell from Ohio State, Dave Aranda from Baylor. It's Aranda. I always mispronounce the guy's name. Anyway, and then Bill O'Brien. That's the other guy, in addition to Andy Avalos from Boise State. So there's that. Those names could be in the mix to go to Oregon. If UCLA loses Kelly, then you got another Power 5 opening. 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. Who was it? Someone in the chat mentioned that Tyler Beatty, the Mizzou running back, this year's SEC's leading rusher, has been practicing with the team, and according to Eli Drinkowitz, he is going to play in the Armed Forces Bowl against Army. Well, that makes that game a little bit different. We'll get into that in a moment. 803-978-1832. Out to the phones. Welcome into the rundown. Good afternoon.
Hey, Rob. This is Scott from Hartsville, man. What's going on?
Hey, buddy. How are you?
All right. Getting prepared to go to our first Army-Navy game this weekend.
You know, you never invite me to these things.
Going to make the trek.
Where is it? It's in New Jersey. Where's it at?
Well, yeah. It's at MetLife Stadium.
Oh, but I don't want to go. If you invited me, I wouldn't go. Sorry. I'd go to Philadelphia. I'd go to DC if they were playing it there because they move it around. Yeah. But I don't know if I would go. I'm not going to New York, man. That's that's asking for it.
We're gonna make the trek up there. And
what are the? Have they told you about the you got to wear a mask and everything in the stadium? What's up with that?
No.
Okay.
It's advised, but it's not required.
Okay. Well, that's
in the outdoor venue they have. Indoor venues, this mask.
Well, we'll see how that goes.
Well, me and my cousin went to a Charlotte Hornets basketball game, and they were, man, if you weren't, drinking something immediately, they were telling you, put your mask back on.
And they are like that in North Carolina, so.
It was to the point where I was like, dude, leave me alone. I paid for these tickets. Let me enjoy it.
Yeah.
But where do you think Clemson's going to go with the defensive coordinator? You think they're going to stay in-house?
I think that's kind of the way that Dabo Swinney wants to go, but I don't know if he's going to have that option. I don't know if Bates is going to go to Oklahoma. I don't know what's going to happen yet with all that. There ended up being a name from somewhere. I'm not even looking when you think about it. He should have the money to go and get whoever he wants. But on the other hand, you've got a bowl game coming up in 3 weeks from tomorrow?
Yes.
So you need to figure out who's going to run the defense for that. Otherwise, you're going to get embarrassed on national television against the Big 12 team. So there's that.
I would imagine it will be Bates calling the defense for that game. But
we'll see.
Saw some names out there. Manny Diaz. You could almost get Manny Diaz on the cheap.
Yeah.
If he said I'm gonna let Miami pay for my first couple of years here at Clemson.
Well, the way that Miami dealt with him, that's just
so cheesy.
It's absolutely disgusting. And it makes you think. We got frustrated around here when Will Muschamp got $12 million or $17 million, however much it was, to be an absolute failure here after he was a failure at Florida. But then you see this happen to this guy where he's told, you just stay right there. We may keep you if we can't overpay this guy to come from Oregon down here to us. You just wait. That's kind of the other side of it. And we don't see that much of it. There'll be a lot more people that will blister coaches like Muschamp or whoever for getting paid. But in the end, when you see how Miami did this, and people are kind of upset, but not really, it kind of makes you think, okay, well, all right, you kind of look at the coaches and we're like, okay, I can kind of get it a little bit.
Well, I mean, it seemed like they were shopping for an AD before they wanted to make a hire, and now they still want, I guess, the Clemson's AD. Is he really going to go there, knowing that?
Yeah, I had that on my I had that on my blog page the other day. It's been reported by several people.
That's one of the biggest hires that an AD can make.
Yeah, it is. It really is.
And they beat him to the punch. I mean,
well, he may have been behind the scenes, had something to say in it too. But
yeah, he doesn't seem like that sleazy of a guy, though.
We'll see.
But, I have a guy in mind. He coaches for North Carolina.
Their defensive coordinator?
Yeah. Is his name Turnip Seed?
I'd have to look it up. I can't remember.
I think it is. He's a linebacker. Well, he's a co-defensive coordinator. He's a linebacker coach, and he's been around quite a few places. But this would be a definite step up for him.
Yeah, I can kind of get that.
And with Tony Elliott, is he really going to take the job at Duke after turning Tennessee down?
Yeah, I guess under that logic, Duke is a better job than Tennessee.
Tennessee.
I'm joking. But no, it's that's interesting to say the least.
He's going to take a job where he's always said he wants to take a job where he can win, and he's just not going to win there.
Right.
They've had some good coaches there too. I mean, it's not like they've had some dog coaches. They've had some real good coaches come in there, just couldn't get it done.
Yeah.
Steve Spurrier got it done for a year.
Yeah, but
a long time ago.
Getting it done for a year is different than getting it done consistently. Like David Cutcliffe's a good coach.
Yeah, he's a real good coach.
I don't think he may not be the best recruiter on the planet, but he's a good coach. And it's kind of hard to if you can't win there with Cutcliffe and the respect that he has, are you going to be able to win being the offensive coordinator for basically 2 seasons at Clemson? I don't know.
And speaking of Clemson, how do you think Brad Bromel's season has started out so far?
Garbage, hot dog water. I mean, Brad Brownell, and I've said this for a long time, he frustrates me. Bring in he recruits from the transfer portal, basically. And it's frustrating because when he does get a good high school player like PJ Hall, who's probably the best player on the team, and he managed to recruit him out of high school from up there in Dorman, PJ Hall is a problem for anyone. And he puts some guys around him, and they end up looking silly. They were up by 10 with like 4 minutes to go at Miami the other day in front of a crowd of about 12 people, and they lost. So I think Brad Brownell is average. And if that's good enough for the Clemson basketball folks, that average is good enough. I know he went to the tournament last year. I get that. But when you watch this,
he got an extension last year.
Yeah. Well, when you watch this team play, they have, they can't shoot the ball. They do play pretty good defense. They turn over the ball too much. They had 23 turnovers the other day. They are a frustrating team to watch. They really are.
The last 10 minutes of the game, it seems like they're done.
Yeah, I can see that.
They don't know which players to go to. They don't know. They don't have a guy they can just say, okay, get him the ball.
Right. They don't have that I'll go get you a bucket type guy.
No,
I just looked at the weather on Saturday, so good luck with that.
Well, we're going to have plenty of Miller Lite, so I don't think that's going to be a problem.
Miller Lite is what you need, man. Hey, man, you should have a safe trip, okay?
All right, man.
Are you a Navy guy or are you going with the Army? Come on, man. Which way are you going?
Army. I was in the Army for 8 years.
I got to go with the Navy, man, but I appreciate it.
I think they're going to do it. Thank you, man.
All right, man. Have a great day. Scott from Hartsville joining the program. We appreciate that. James says Duke is not taking Elliott. Jeff says, I don't think Elliott could handle Tennessee. He was interviewed. The athletic director lied at Tennessee and said that he wasn't interviewed, but he was. Let's go back out to the phones. Welcome into the program. Good afternoon.
Hey, Rob, it's Colby.
Colby, how are you, sir?
Pretty good. Well, I don't have any questions for you, but I just wanted to thank you personally for this whole season. You've done a great job on your radio program and YouTube and all platforms around. I just want to thank you personally. You've made this season a lot better.
Well, I try. It's this is what I always wanted to do when I was a kid. So the fact that I get to do it every day is really cool. So, and I appreciate the folks listening because it's better when you have audience interaction, even the folks that call up and curse at me and yell at me and everything else. The dump button's been used a good bit this year. Let's leave it at that.
I hear you there. Well, I just wanted to holler at you real quick and thank you, man.
All right, Bo. I appreciate you, man. You have a great day.
Okay, Rob.
All right. One more call. And welcome into the rundown. Good afternoon.
Big Barney Ross here. I got a
Barney.
question for you, and this is
Sure.
something nobody's really thinking about. What happens if everybody opts out? I'll get off here and listen to what you got to say.
I won't acknowledge that question, Barney, but thank you. Welcome into the rundown. Good afternoon.
Rob, that was an awesome phone call by Colby.
I know, right?
Complimenting you on your great job. He did say great job, which I kind of thought was strong, maybe a little strong there,
A
but
little strong. Hey,
hey,
you sound better, man. Did you get you some whiskey sours or what? You sound like you're feeling a little better.
yeah, I am slowly crawling out of the grave here.
Well, good.
Hey, obviously you do a great job. I'm just messing with you.
I try.
Listen, you on at the beginning of the show, I tuned in just a little bit late, but you mentioned something about some mess happening at Florida. What were you speaking of there?
Oh, yeah. You know what? Since you're here, I can talk about that. Here you go. Last night, the Florida Gators basketball team, and we've had Florida fans on the show once. Mullen with odds basketball season now. The number 20 Florida. Let me get my anchor voice into this. The number lost last night to Texas Southern 69-54. It was the Tigers' first victory of the season. Florida trailed by 10 at halftime. But the big story here, ladies and gentlemen, coming into that game, Texas Southern had 0 wins. 0-7 on the season, but their first win comes at Florida. The Gators were a 23-point favorite in that matchup. What the hell has happened to Florida?
Would this be like on par with the Georgia Southern football loss at Gainesville a while back, or not that strong? Or
that I didn't think about it, but yeah, that was pretty tough. They lost to Georgia Southern. Georgia Southern didn't complete a pass. So yeah, I mean that could be there, but I mean that's a huge. You're a 23-point favorite in hoops at home. You're ranked 20th in the country, and you lose to. I mean, let's just be honest. Texas Southern's not exactly a basketball behemoth here, but they went down there and won.
It's funny. I was talking to a guy last night who's actually an Alabama fan, and he follows Mac Jones, obviously, who's now at the Patriots, and I guess Mac Jones completed 2 of 3 passes last night. And I was joking with him. I said, "When's the last time you heard those kind of stats and someone actually won the football game?" And he immediately said Georgia Southern and Gainesville, whatever year that was.
They went 0 for 1 through the air. They threw one pass and didn't complete it. But that's right. That Will Muschamp defense. He didn't give up much through the air.
Yeah. So I guess we're going to start up the fire Mike White talk again there in Gainesville. So
we'll see how that goes. I want to make sure I get as much as I can out of the football season, but we will cover basketball here on the rundown. I've got a slew of great basketball folks that guys that are on the air with ESPN and stuff like that are going to give us a nice basketball flavor once we get once the football season slows down a little bit and before we get into talking spring games and everything else. But yeah, it's not looking good down there at Florida. Oof.
Okay. Well, switching back to football, 43-18, Rob.
Have a great day. I'm glad you're feeling better. There you go. Quick break. When we come back, we'll have more for you on the rundown. This is Fox Sports Radio 1400. They don't look good. Jimmy says Navy coaches are only dressing 18 players for the game on Saturday. They are confident the rest of the players can dress themselves. Oh, now. Hey, you know what? I love the Army-Navy game. I like the fact that they play it, and that's the only game that's out there. That makes me really happy. And I guess it's because I don't know. At my house by then, all of the Christmas decorations are up. You know, get a nice glass of or a nice man. My brain's not working today. Be a nice drink of whiskey, sit down and watch that game. I can do that. Randy's got jokes. Could Brad Brownell beat Texas Southern? I don't know, Randy. That's not nice. I do know that South Carolina and Clemson will play basketball this year. And Frank Martin's team lost to Coastal. No disrespect to Coach Ellis, but what? We'll see how that works out. They play like next week too, I believe, or like I don't know exactly. It's like right before. I think it's like the 22nd or something. Look at the schedule here. Yeah, the 18th. So they've got Drake, Miami of Ohio, and then they play South Carolina. Clemson may lose all of those games. That's no joke. There's a Jimmy Kimmel Bowl. I've never heard of the Jimmy Kimmel Bowl. What a mess. No, Tennille, I want football season too, man, and I'll try to find football stuff. We'll talk football. I'll have some football stuff on here every day. I literally go and find things that we can talk about with football. So yeah, we'll get there with that. Welcome back to the rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400. A couple of notes. Tennille wants to know what the Gasparilla Bowl is. It's like a pirate parade type thing that they do down in Tampa, and they just have a bowl game for it. Jimmy says Navy coaches are only dressing 18 players for the game on Saturday. They're confident the rest of the players can dress themselves. I'm assuming Jimmy is an Army guy. Jet says Scott Strickland has turned UF into Moose State. Thank you for that, sir. Randy wants to know if Brad Brownell could beat Texas Southern. At this juncture, I don't know. I mean, they went into Florida and won last night. Tennille wants to know if she's wrong for not being ready for basketball. No, absolutely not. Look, I love basketball season, and to be honest, I love college baseball season. Love college baseball season. We have folks on from Baseball America throughout the season. We love to talk about college baseball, the ping of that bat. Love it. Okay. So we definitely do some college baseball stuff here on the show, but man, I like to talk about football regardless of where it's played. So yeah, we're going to have football talk. And, to give you a look behind the scenes, one of the reasons that I keep the bookcase of accountability is because we can go back and grab some stuff from that and talk about that during the quote unquote off season. That, and there's stuff that's out there too. We have the spring games we can analyze and recruiting and all kinds of stuff that we can get to here on the rundown. So yeah, lots of good stuff that we'll continue to talk about as the year rolls on. Let's go back out to the phones. You're welcome to call at 803-978-1832. Welcome into the rundown.
Hey, Rob, another name you can maybe throw out there, he's a regular guest on the Teddy Show, is Ellis Johnson.
You mean for being Clemson's defensive coordinator?
That's correct. He has said plenty of times on Teddy's show that he wouldn't mind getting back into coaching in the right situation. And, he coached at Clemson back in the day.
I tell you what, and I mean this with all sincerity, if Dabo Swinney can get Ellis Johnson off the couch, that would be a great hire because Ellis Johnson understands football. And Ellis Johnson I don't think has a problem going out and doing the recruiting and everything else. He'll have that Clemson defense right. So yeah, right, that would be an interesting hire if he could do that. I don't know if Swinney wants to go that way or not, but that would be a great hire in my opinion.
Yeah, and that'd be a lot less money than what they were paying Brent Venables on top of that as well. Mm-hmm. And as far as Elliott's concerned, in my opinion, I could be wrong. I think he's being kind of forced out. I think that's why he would take that job at Duke. I think that a lot of Clemson fans, they would love to have Jeff Scott Maybe they should just offer Jeff Scott the bank, bring him back as the assistant head coach, kind of like a coach in waiting, and put him in charge of the offense, and then put Ellis over the defense.
Well, I disagree on Jeff Scott because the whole idea of coach in waiting is that you're going to have him here because Coach Sweeney's 50. And Coach Sweeney is, I think, in pretty good shape. And, he's got at least another, I'd say 10. I don't know how long he wants to coach, but there's no clock on Coach Sweeney up there. So the idea of coach in waiting is just, it's kind of like saying.
It would be a title. It wouldn't be an actual official, but it'll be a way to kind of justify the salary, make him the assistant head coach, to get him from, isn't it what, South Florida's way is that now? A lot of Clemson fans have been saying, and a lot of people on the radio are saying that the reason why the Clemson offense is struggling is because of Tony Elliott and the lack of Jeff Scott no longer being there.
You can make an argument that the offense hasn't been as creative when Jeff Scott wasn't there, but I don't know if this guy wants to leave a head coaching job to come back to be an offensive coordinator. You don't generally take that unless you're forced to. And at South Florida, they had to. They're in some growing pains. That's what they're dealing with down there now. So we'll see.
Yeah, and he may want to get out of there before get out before he's run out. This stuff, kind of throwing some stuff out there. Ellis Johnson bringing Jeff Scott back, and I do believe Elliott's kind of being not pushed out, but kind of maybe nudged out.
Yeah, you might be right about that. Hey man, I appreciate you calling the program. Thank you.
Anytime.
Yeah, man. He makes a lot of sense there. I hadn't thought about Coach Johnson, but I'm a huge fan of Coach Johnson. Absolutely huge fan of Coach Johnson. And if he wanted to go up to Clemson, and I think Coach Sweeney knows that, but I think Coach Johnson's outstanding. And if he had that chance to, I think he'd have, if they hired him up there, the people that we're talking about, especially there are a lot of folks that want to see the Clemson team fall. Okay. If Ellis Johnson goes to Clemson and coaches up there, it's going to shut a lot of mouths. They're not going to have anyone that can get that defense correct. Ellis Johnson will have that defense right. He's, other than the stuff that happened, and he mentioned it on Teddy's show. The reason he got fired at Southern Miss is because they came to him and said, you have to fire X, Y, and Z coach. And he told them basically to go to hell. He said that live on Teddy's show. He said, the guy that fired me didn't know anything about football. So it wasn't an issue of his ability to coach. It was an issue of, hey, this guy wants you to do this or that at Southern Miss. And that didn't work out that well. But Ellis Johnson would be an absurdly great hire if they could get him up there at Clemson. Packalock says, stop, Rob, y'all in trouble. Packalock, if they did get Ellis Johnson, would be shivering. We'll see. 803-978-1832. Quick break. We'll come back. We'll wrap up this edition of The Rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400. Yeah, when you see that, Blake, it makes you wonder what was happening up there. You should call her Steady in honor of Stetson Bennett there, Alan. Steady. Or Kirby. Call her Kirby. That's a good name for a daughter, Kirby. Why not? I suck when it comes to naming children. I named my daughter after my mother-in-law, and then I named my other daughter Scarlett because I just like the name Scarlett. Aria works. No, we named my daughter's name is Paula K. And then we have Scarlett. My wife's name is Karen K. And then my mother-in-law's name is Paula K. And then we have Paula K. And then we had Scarlett. And then I think we should have called her Scarlett K. But the wife went over that. Jimmy, I helped with the naming of my first daughter was all mine. The wife had nothing to do with that. Yes, my wife's name is Karen. You got a problem with that, Blake? Stephanie after Stetson. I like it. You should raffle off the name. That's what I would do. Bunch of Karens. My wife catches such grief for her name. She's a special ed teacher that tries to change the world. And people are like, your name's Karen? What's up with that? What a mess. Final segment of the rundown here on Fox Sports Radio 1400 around the world on the iHeartRadio app. Over in the chat room today, Alan is trying to look for a name for his daughter. So there, I guess I thought I was entertaining them with sports stuff, but they're trying to get a name for his daughter. Okay. Congratulations to Alan for having a child. That's a good thing. So there's that. 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. That is the number to call if you'd like to join us here on the rundown. Dennis says that Clemson's days in the ACC are over, sir. Dennis was at the beginning of the season telling me that Miami was going to end Clemson's reign this year. Look, I don't care how good of a coach Mario Cristobal is. I'll make a bold prediction right now, right here on the rundown. It's December, 7th? For next season, Clemson will finish better than Miami. Write that down. Just saying, you guys think he's going to come in there and be an absolute miracle worker, and I don't know if that's going to be the case or not. That and you're, 2 recruiting classes at least behind Clemson as far as talent goes. So there's that. 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. It's so funny because everyone wants to, Clemson's completely in the toilet. Clemson's in the toilet. Clemson won 9 games this season. They're ranked 19th in the latest CFP poll. Is it the kind of season that they thought they were going to have? No. Still a good season, though. So, we'll see how that works out. 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. I mentioned Tyler Beatty is playing in the bowl game. And that's big news for Mizzou. So we'll see how that works out for them. Army has the number 2 rushing attack in the country, 301 yards a game. When you mix that with that Mizzou defense, which hasn't been really good, we'll see. We'll see how that works out. And then Army, of course, what's the adage? It's always there. What's the adage? It's always there with Army, that they're a bunch of smart guys. There's that too. Colby says, isn't it an acceptable season, though? I don't think that at Clemson, 9-3 right now is acceptable. I don't believe that. The goals every year are simple for Coach Sweeney. He puts them out there. And going 9-3 is not quite what they want to do. So, yeah. Jimmy says it's being reported that Sam Howell will play in the Mayonnaise Bowl. Is that what we're calling it now? We're not calling it the Duke's Bowl. As long as they don't call it the Miracle Whip Bowl. If you put Miracle Whip on a sandwich and call it mayonnaise, you should have your toes nailed to the floor. That's absolutely gross. It's like you go to somebody's house and we'll have some sandwiches for lunch. They put Miracle Whip on my sandwich. I'm not coming back to your house. I won't eat the sandwich. I mean, I'm that crazy about that. If there is ever a Miracle Whip bowl, I'm not showing up. That's not happening. What a mess. Vandy Danny says Mizzou plus 3.5 is a lock. Mike agrees with me. Miracle Whip is straight trash. You should throw that in the trash with your candy corn. Those hard shell, what do they call them? Those hard candies you get at Christmas, throw those in the trash with the candy corn, with the Miracle Whip. All of that needs to go in the trash. It's an absolute mess. All right, tomorrow on the program, we'll have a couple of guests tomorrow, I'm pretty sure. So we'll keep you in tune with that as we roll along here on Fox Sports Radio 1400. Jay says Clemson just had their best season it will have in the next 5 years. I'm not buying that, Jay. Good luck with that. All right. Appreciate you guys listening. We'll see you tomorrow. As my break is not airing. Why is that? You guys have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow.